I'm State Representative Jay Rodne from the 5th Legislative District. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to join me from our state capitol. There are less than 2 weeks left in the legislative session, and the main issue in the home stretch before the legislature is our state budget. State lawmakers must address a $1.1 billion spending gap, which is the difference between what the legislature had planned to spend and what the state expects to take in for tax revenue. I continue to stress that the state government does not have a revenue problem. Instead, we have a spending and misplaced priorities problem. The House Democrat budget that was just released this week is a symptom of these problems, of one-party rule in Olympia, where the majority has misplaced priorities and an inability to control spending. How we move forward to address this problem is critical. It's important to individuals, families, and small businesses that are struggling to get by in these really challenging times. It's critical for our schools and universities, and it's vital for those who rely on state services. With many eyes on Olympia, I've never been more proud of my House Republican colleagues than right now. Last week, we put forth a budget proposal before anyone else that would set priorities, not raise taxes, and be sustainable in the future. I'd like to share the details of this spending plan, and as always, I welcome your feedback. Whether it's a family or small business, the first step in writing a budget is setting priorities. We feel the state's #1 and highest priority is K-12 education. Our state constitution calls it our paramount duty, and our state Supreme Court recently told the legislature that we are not living up to our funding obligations for K-12 education. In our House Republican budget, we would prioritize K-12 education above all other programs. We would do this by fully funding basic education and by only making reductions in areas that fall outside of this definition. We would also fully fund school districts and levy equalization, and we would maintain funding for all-day kindergarten. We also acknowledge that it's not just how much money we spend on education, but how we spend it. Our budget reforms include education reforms that promote accountability to ensure your tax dollars are being used wisely. We would also provide school districts with more local control when it comes to state mandates. After education, we feel another important priority is public safety. In our budget, we would ensure that convicted criminals would stay in prison and that community supervision of those released would not be compromised. We would also provide new funding for safety initiatives in our corrections community and gang violence prevention. Beyond education and public safety, our third priority is protecting our most vulnerable. Now, we define the most vulnerable as those with developmental disabilities, the elderly who rely on long-term care, folks with mental health challenges, and of course our children. We prioritize those who need help but are not capable of helping themselves. Our budget would maintain funding for regional support networks, adult daycare, and employment programs for the developmentally disabled community. We would also fully fund critical access hospitals, which provide critical health care services to our rural areas across the state. When we set priorities, it also means identifying areas of state government that can be scaled back or eliminated. We would eliminate 51 state programs that we feel should not be priorities in tough budget times. For example, we would end a program that has state agencies pay for their employees to carpool to work. It's not that it's a bad program, it's that simply our state cannot afford this program anymore. Our budget would also have the state sell certain surplus properties that are no longer needed. We would also leave more than $625 million in reserves just in case our economy takes another downturn. I'm proud to say that the House Republican budget is a pro-jobs, pro-economic growth budget that would reduce the size and scope of state government, reduce the regulatory burden on businesses across the state, and it would get Washington working again. Although creating a sustainable budget in these challenging times is difficult, the difficulty of the task should never be used as an excuse for failure. And quite frankly, the majority's budgeting process has been an utter failure since this state went to one-party majority rule in 2005. I'm proud to support a budget proposal that does not include any tax increases, bonding, securitization, or any other kind of gimmicks that are prevalent in the majority's budget. The budget that I support and the process used to craft that budget is a budget that sets priorities, is sustainable, and again helps get Washington working again. The next 2 weeks will be challenging, and I encourage you to contrast the budget proposals that are being put forward. If you have any questions along the way, please do not hesitate to contact me. My door is always open, and I welcome your input. In closing, again, I'd like to say that it's an honor to be able to serve you here in the State House of Representatives. I'm your State Representative, Jay Rodne. Take care, and I look forward to talking with you again soon.